Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's October 29th, 2021. I'm Gary Fermanl, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day. And day before the Pitt game, it's going to be an interesting weekend for the Canes fan, for the Hurricanes in general. This game could go either way, Matt. We've talked about it all week. Pitt's got some key injuries. Miami's going on the road into colder weather. It'll probably be rainy on game day. It's going to be a wet track, which probably benefits Pitt, I would think, a little bit more than Miami. But without question, Manny Diaz continuing to fight for his coaching life here week to week. And, Pitt is still a 9.5-point favorite. And, we have our You Bet feature with Lee Sterling on the site. And Matt Lee is having a pretty hard time coming to grips with Miami this year. He's been going back and forth on the Canes, doesn't really have a true handle on this team like everybody else. This week, he thinks that the Canes getting 9.5 points are a pretty good selection. He expects a pretty close game. I think the Canes can play Pitt very close as well, and that this is a contest that can go either way. And we have a story on the website this morning that's kind of interesting. It's the theme is out with the old, in with the new, and it's the youth movement on this Miami Hurricanes football team, something that a lot of people have been calling for all season. It's been steadily happening. And Matt, that can be good and that can be bad. In some ways, you got maybe some better players coming in, but in other ways, you're losing experience. There could be mistakes on the field. Your thoughts 24 hours essentially before kickoff.
I mean, look, I could see why Dr. Sterling is having a problem with all these picks. I mean, it's like a different team every week for Miami. Every week there's a different guy hurt, a different starter, a different this, a different that. The best thing, and I said this, I think, maybe yesterday, but I'll put it in plainer English. If I even speak English half the time, I'm not sure if I do. But the plainest way for me to put it is if Miami beats Pittsburgh tomorrow, Manny Diaz will have lucked into it, because if Cam Harris was healthy, if Bubba Bolden was playing, if there weren't some, different injuries in the offensive line, like Corey Gaynor was still playing, for instance. I'd argue Ja'Kai Clark is probably maybe doing better than Corey would have at this point. You can go down the line,
If he didn't realize he could sit down Gervin Hall.
Right. Like if Gervin Hall wasn't just obviously awful and just average awful like it was last year when they kept playing him, stuff like that. Like Manny Diaz has sort of lucked into this young rotation. It's not even a rotation. I mean, just playing young guys, where if these young guys just are that good, they'll be Pitt. And I don't think, and the reason why Dr. Sterling isn't sure where Miami fits yet is because we don't know how good these young guys really are. And I think we'll find out against Pittsburgh, is this have they even gotten better?
I have a question. Why are you calling him Dr. Sterling?
Because he's a master of his craft.
He's not a damn doctor.
He's just
a guy that
he's a PhD. He's a PhD of betting. What level above him is there if you're not a PhD of betting?
These guys, I'll tell you, it's been interesting for me doing that show with Lee each week because I'm getting a little insight into what he does. And people don't realize, they think these guys are just throwing bullshit out at them all the time. I mean, they got freaking researchers working for them that are sitting back there crunching numbers, watching tapes, doing evaluations of certain players. He'll go as deep as look at tape from a spring game of a third string quarterback.
Listen, I mean, he should have just gone on the freaking You Bet show and been like this. He should have said, if you want Miami to win, bet for Miami. If you're rooting against Miami, take Pitt. And that way you're probably going to be happy unless it's within a little margin of error of the betting line, So right. That's what I recommend. Dr. Shodell recommends, if you want Miami to win, take Miami and the points. If you want Pitt to win, just take Pittsburgh and the points.
All right, so we've got that analysis story out with the old, in with the new. That's kind of interesting, talking about kind of like the changing of the guard on this football team. We also have a couple really good features that we did with PantherLair.com and tapped into their expertise on Pittsburgh. We've got an Inside Enemy Lines feature, which goes in depth, 5 key questions leading into the game. We also have a really good countdown to kickoff show with a gentleman by the name of Chris Peak, one of the top authorities on Pittsburgh football. Gave us great insight into the Panthers. So if you have time here in the next day or two, make time to watch that countdown to kickoff show that we've got up on the site. We check in with Keontra Smith. You saw him making plays out there against NC State last week. A guy that is still, I would say, working his way in, Matt. I don't think we would say that any of these linebackers that are playing right now have arrived. But Keontra shows flashes from time to time, and at least there's a little bit of potential there. Would you agree?
I mean, Keontra, Amari, and Corey. If you told me those were the 3 starters at the beginning of the season, I would have been happy. These guys play hard, man. They're not the greatest athletes in the world. They're not going to have their names up in the rafter, or anything like that. But they freaking play hard, and that's all you can ask for, and they're athletic enough, to get it done. When you look at like Wayman Stevens, BJ Jennings, I mean, maybe they thought they were playing hard, but they were just slow. Like, these guys at least run to a spot and like throw their body in there, That's all you can ask for on a very average, sub-average defense. So I'm happy with all 3 of those starters right now, and I hope they play a lot of reps, all 3 of them, because I don't know what happened to Gil Frierson, but he's like a non-factor when he's out there. And
hasn't played well.
The other 2 guys I mentioned, like, let these 3 guys just freaking play 80% of the game, man. Just do it. This is your last hurrah. If you're going to make a stand, and this is probably your job's on the line, make a stand with the guys that are starting. I mean, there's no need to make people happy anymore that are playing or not playing. Like, this is it for you, Manny. Let these guys ride it out.
All right. We also have a recruiting update today on Isaiah Horton. I would say one of the key guys on the commit list, a big receiver out of Tennessee. And he's making plans to visit Miami at some point here for one of the last couple home games. Matt, I'm going to be honest. I'm not sure that that's a good thing. I don't know if that's good or, like he's going to see a half-empty stadium no matter what happens this Saturday against Pittsburgh. If things go bad in the ball game, he might hear booing. There's all kinds of speculation about a coaching change down here. I don't know. I don't know that commitments, especially a good one like that one, if visiting one of these last 2 home games is the greatest thing in the world.
I think Kamari Rogers is coming too. I mean, look, they're not going to see anything different in person than they're not going to see on TV or they're not going to see on Twitter or whatever, like it is what it is. I mean, if the program's a dumpster fire, you're going to know it's a dumpster fire whether you're sitting there in Louisiana or Tennessee or whether you're in Miami. Like, if Miami somehow beats Pittsburgh, okay, it won't be a bad atmosphere these final 2 home games. We saw NC State. Miami was in as bad a shape as you can be heading into that NC State game. People didn't want to go to the game. Nobody seemed very excited about the program. And there was only one time I heard any boos, and that was when there was that ridiculous drive before halftime. Other than that, they were cheering the fans. Like, the fans, regardless of who the coach is, you take your kids to the game, you want to cheer for your team, and you want your team to do well. Other than the people on our message boards, Yeah. So, like, if Miami's doing well against Virginia Tech, which they should, if Miami's doing well against, I think, Georgia Tech's the other home game, fans are going to cheer. The key is they have to play well. Even if they lose to Pitt, if they play well those 2 games, fans will cheer. The stadium's going to be half empty. You see that on TV. Like, I've got no problem with having these kids come and see the program. And, when there are problems in the program, usually you can sell early playing time. The problem for Miami right now is, like, who are you taking the early playing time away from? Like, Keyshawn Smith's basically a freshman. The 2 older guys might leave, but, like, you got Xavier Restrepo, looks like a surefire starter, a year from now. So, like, maybe you're battling to be the 3rd starter, like Mike Redding and whoever else.
You know what, Matt? I think you got to keep still trying to get play better players than that. like I don't think Xavier Restrepo is.
Yeah, no, the transfer portal is good. What I'm saying is Miami can't sell
and
that.
traditional recruiting too.
Usually when the program's struggling, you sell, you can play right away here, and they can't do that. That's my point.
I'm not ready to anoint any of these guys as like all ACC players or anything like that. Even Romello Brinson, as spectacular as that catch was a couple weeks ago, I'm not ready to anoint him and Jacoby George and these guys. Like, we don't know how good they're really going to be. And
that's a separate conversation. You got to bring in the transfer. But what I'm saying is, as a recruit, you can't say, hey, all these old guys are leaving. You can come in and play right away. That's why we're struggling. Like, that doesn't work. So I don't know what they're going to sell these kids on. But, like, they don't have that many commits anyway. So they just got to try to hold on to what they got, I guess.
All right. So Isaiah Horton will be visiting at some point in the next few weeks. And then we continue our countdown towards the basketball season. And I say it almost every day. Get behind this Hurricane basketball team. This is going to be an exciting group to watch. I am stoked for this basketball season. I just think that win or lose, they're going to be fun to watch. They're the nicest kids. I mean, we got to talk to them all up close the other day, and just really like a super group of kids, and they're lighting it up in practice offensively. Okay, they still got work to do defensively, rebounding. They're a little small on the interior. Even big Rodney Miller is no longer big. Like, he's thinned down. He's like a stick figure now. It's the most unbelievable thing I've ever seen. A kid that battled weight issues throughout his whole career, and now he finally looks like a basketball player, quite frankly. But they got to get better. They got to be able to rebound on the interior. They got to be able to defend. But this is a team that's going to get up and down the court. They got a true point guard in Charlie Moore, who, speaking of which, we feature today. We've got a feature on Charlie along with a video interview to go with it. So those of you that like basketball, make sure you check that out. This kid has got the whole program excited. The last few years they had Chris Likes, who, at times was a highlight reel, no argument. But Chris Likes was a score-first point guard. He was looking out for Chris Likes. Charlie Moore is everything. Charlie can score, passes phenomenally. He distributes the ball. He gets his teammates involved. He brings out the best of those around him. And the guards like Wong and Magusti and the transfer Jordan Miller, they are raving about what they see from Charlie Moore and what he means to their basketball team. I'm telling you, folks, this will be an exciting year for Canes basketball. Get fired up for that. All right, Matt, that's going to be it. Going to be heading up to Pittsburgh, a trip that I always look forward to. It's a nice environment up there. I don't know, the weather's not going to be great. I don't know what it'll be like this Saturday, but we'll see what happens. And, we'll see how the Canes fare on Saturday. Of course, we'll have complete coverage of everything on CaneSport.com and moving forward from Saturday afternoon. So for Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Fermanl. Enjoy your Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Pull for the kids, pull for the Canes. Don't cheer for the kids to lose. Everything else is going to work itself out in some way, shape, or form, I think. But we'll continue to see how it goes, and we'll catch up with everybody over the weekend and Monday. Have a great time, everybody.